Okay, here we go. Welcome to Energy Readings with Shelby Aesthetic. I'm your host, Shelby Aesthetic. As always, we are broadcasting from IntuiTalks.com, so if you're listening and you're not with us or you're not familiar with IntuiTalks.com, it's a spiritual network and a platform where you can meet other spiritually like-minded people. I always try to plug in IntuiTalks as many times as I can during my show because I love this platform. Anyway, it's a great place to experience lots of different podcasts. It's a great community. Jenny Satori is the one that's over this. She actually has a show on IntuiTalks also. So check out IntuiTalks.com if you're looking to build a free spiritual-based website. You can, or if you're looking to host your own show or classroom, there are several packages to choose from. So tonight, I have guest Sue Broome on. I'm really excited to have Sue on. I actually met her, well, I didn't really meet her. We just became friends on Instagram somehow. Anyway, but she's just a really neat person. I like watching her posts that she makes. She's just amazing with reaching out to the community. Her website's really cool. And we'll get to her in just a second. I do want to talk to you guys a little bit first about some things that are coming up. And I'm trying to talk a little quick here because I want to get through as much of this information as we can while we have Sue on, in case there are people that are calling in for a reading. All right, so next week, let me back up. I had gotten an email. It's been about a week ago, asking if I could do a show on Meditation 101. So I said that'll be perfect because I want to do a giveaway show also. So what I'm going to do is do a Meditation 101 show on November the 14th, and it's also going to be a giveaway show. So I'm going to be giving away a few full 1-hour readings. It's around the holidays. I know it's a good time. It's a good time for it. The following week after that, November 24th, 1st, 28th, and December 5th. So those next 3 Wednesdays, I'm going to be doing a series. It's going to be an energy work series and practice. So this is for beginners. So it's more informational. There is going to be some practicing. So I think it'll be, I don't know, I think it'll be a lot of fun. But you can join us. So what we'll do is we'll split that. You'll join us at the beginning of the show, and we'll talk about energy work and some of the basics with it. And then we'll do kind of some small practices towards the very end. And then the following week, we'll do a little more practicing. And then, of course, on the third show, which will be December the 5th, we'll take about half the show to do some cool stuff. And then on the 12th, I'm going to take December the 12th off. Because I'll be out of town. Okay, there's some other stuff coming up. We'll get to that later. So upcoming on IntuiTalks, this is again where I'm broadcasting from. So tomorrow, Jenny's house, the lady that created IntuiTalks, is having her show at 8:30 on November the 8th. This is 8:30 Eastern. It's going to be a really neat show actually. It's how to lighten your energy up. If you weren't at Jenny's last show, it was about manifestation. It was actually a really incredible show, not just manifestation, but it had all kinds of, it was very informative. You should definitely check it out in the archives if you get a chance. It was a really good show. Also this week, November the 9th at 10 is Selva Dutton on Curious Times. And then Rich Valdez is on Angel Meadows, November 11th at 6:30 Eastern, and then November 11th at 10 Eastern is Amy Kavanaugh. So Amy's a really cool person too. She's hilarious. If you get a chance to listen to anything that she's on, check her out. I think she's on Curious Times once or twice a month, I think. Something like that. Anyway, so I think that's all. Oh, hey, Amy. So embarrassed. I was sitting here talking. I'm glad I was saying good things. But anyway, so yes, check all this stuff out. There's lots of really cool things on IntuiTalks Network. And I love IntuiTalks, as I've already said. So I think it's a win-win for everybody. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and bring Sue on. Hey, Sue.
Hey, Shelby.
Can you hear me okay? I know you said I sounded like I was screaming in your ear. I tried to pull the mic away a little bit.
I can hear you. It still sounds a little muffled, but that's okay as long as you don't mind me saying, "Hey, what'd you say?"
No, I'm used to it. I'm like that. I'm mumbling all the time. People always tell me that. All right. Okay. So you guys. So Sue, like I said, I met her on Instagram. I don't actually know how we became friends, but we did. And I'm watching you. You do your angel cards pretty often on Instagram, right?
I pull a card every single day, and just a quick one, and I do that on Instagram, and then I share it on Facebook. But on Facebook Live, I actually do a weekly reading on Sundays live.
Yeah, I'm looking at all the stuff you do. You do a podcast. You've just written a book. You are part of Instagram daily card pulling. Your weekly card pullings on Facebook. I mean, How do you do that? What are you like? Are you multiplying yourself or what? You are incredibly busy. It's wonderful though. It's all good stuff.
Heads down and do my stuff. That's what I do, and I like to share. I mean, I have so much fun in the cards. The single card that I pull on Instagram every single day is always amazing to me. What they end up being.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And so have you always been this way, Sue? I mean, not as far as teaching goes, because I know that's a big passion of yours, but as far as being a spiritual person, your website says you've really been following your intuition the last decade or so, but what happened prior to that? What led you up to this?
Really, there's so many people that are doing this for a living, and they say, "Oh yeah, I was born with it," and so many of us are, and it's like, well, I wasn't. When I was a kid, I don't remember even knowing about angels, hearing about angels, even though I was brought up in a religious household. I don't remember being intuitive. It wasn't like that as far as I can remember growing up at all. And I think really what started me down the path is when I was, this was probably probably 15, 20 years ago or something. I was having so many stomach aches, and I wasn't happy with the medical community, so I started looking into alternatives. And one of the things that I was doing was I was getting massages on a more regular basis, and the woman talked to angels. She called them her foofs, and she did Reiki. So that was really my first introduction that I remember to the angels, to even knowing what they were. And you could always tell when she was talking to the angels, because there was 3 of them that she talked to quite a bit, was Michael, Raphael, and Gabriel, and her voice would change. So I could tell which of the angels was coming through depending on how her voice sounded. Mm-hmm. But that was kind of the start of it, and it just kind of kept going from there, because then I started searching and, doing my own, reading different books and going to different people that were intuitives or doing tarot card readings or, things like that. And just really kind of, all right, where am I supposed to go? And then I started taking classes on tuning into my own intuition. It's like, oh. So that's kind of how that came about.
Well, and you have such it's really a fascinating story, because like you said, I think you do hear, well, for me, I hear people all the time talk about experiencing all these things as a child. It is quite abundant, it seems, that people have been doing this, 45 years or, something like that. So it's actually really refreshing to hear a different perspective on that also. So do you feel like something clicked with you as far as the attunement goes, or, to being able to pick up this kind of energy, or do you feel like this was just where you were led and you were right where you were supposed to be? It was kind of predestined. How do you feel about that?
I don't know that I necessarily believe in things are all kind of laid out. I think, we come here with things we're supposed to learn, things we're supposed to do, and we're still going to learn them and take our own sweet time in learning them. And sometimes it takes me a long time. I mean, the trusting the intuition, I think that's something that it still comes up for me. It's like, well, this is what I'm getting, and like when I'm pulling cards on for Facebook Live on Sundays, it's like, if people don't say that card made sense, I have no idea. But I've gotten to the point where I'm comfortable saying, well, this is what I'm getting, and I just move on to the next one, because you have to do that. It's
right.
It's and just go with that. But I think it really was kind of a slow evolution for me, because I was still in the corporate world until 2011.
Yes, I read that part of it. I was just like, wow. I mean, you led a really productive corporate life with no real, I guess awareness would be, like you said, a good word for the things you're doing now. So it was really a big 180, really. It's just such an interesting, valuable story, I think, that you're sharing, your journey. Which, by the way, you guys, if you're listening and you want to connect with Sue, and I will put this stuff in the chat room as well as say it at the end of the show, you can catch her on Facebook at Empowerment, the number 4, and then YOU. So Empowerment for You. You can also find her on Twitter, E4Y Now, or IG, you can do Sue Broome 44. I'm also going to put her, and if you check on my website, you can link directly to her. I've got her webpage up there and some other links, and I'll put them in the chat room also. So check her out. She's got an incredible story. I think it is, anyway. So what's this divine coding I'm reading about? You said you were a practitioner of divine coding at one point. What is this language of the angels?
Well, it's actually interesting because, and I'm not going to talk a lot about divine coding because that was an energy that someone else was awakened to. It was really their energy, and at the time they felt, okay, I am going to attune others to this same energy, just like, in our traditional
Reiki or something. Sure, okay.
Right.
I got you.
And that was all fine and good. I mean, because it still flows, and I can still see the codes, so to speak, the angelic codes. But what happened after that, and it was still by the same instructor, but she evolved as we as practitioners all evolved. And then she was doing awakening classes where she was actually awakening people to their own energy. Because everybody has their own thing, which is really, if I were to say to you, Shelby, well, would you rather have your own energy, or should I teach you my energy?
Right. Of course I'm going to say I want my own.
Yeah. So when I took the awakening class, it was, yes, I was already attuned to Reiki, and I was a Reiki master, and I had divine coding. So it just kind of blended it all together with me and helped me expand into more of who I'm supposed to be. It's not that over there. It's just me. It's more of me. It's more of, and because we're all connected to the divine, we all have that connection. It's just coming at it from a different angle.
Yeah, definitely. I also read a little bit about you where you had talked a little bit about your mother who had crossed over. I think you said back in the mid-70s. But her being around during that time that you're working on your intuition, healing your energy that you were talking about, and feeling her. And I loved that you put that in there, because I really feel that as we cross over to the other side, that we are ever present with our loved ones, always guiding, always gently guiding. And I felt like that, what an incredible teaching moment for you to experience that. I bet that was just amazing. I bet that was amazing to go through that and feel her like that.
It really is amazing, and actually, you know, the free class that I have out there called Memories Shared with Your Loved Ones. I'll tell you the story kind of behind that, because it's a really short. It's kind of a mini course, but it's free, and it's so valuable to people where they can connect with their loved ones in a different way. I mean, so many people, that's what they want. They miss the connection. Well, that class actually is part of a bigger class that's going to be coming out in a few weeks called Channel Writing with Mom. And
oh, wow.
How that started, here's the real wow, Shelby, is it was my mom's idea.
Oh, I love that. I love that. That makes me smile.
She was the one that told me about it. And first I remember it's like, okay, I'll, make a note of that and just, go about my day. And a couple days later, it's like I get the same message. It's like, okay. Well, finally, I sit down and I have a channel writing session with her. And it's like, okay, if you want me to do this, what do you want the agenda to be? The curriculum, basically. And so she gave it to me. And it's like, oh, okay. Well,
that was easy enough. Yeah, that was easy enough. That's perfect. I love that. And you're also,
it really is amazing.
Well, this is one of the reasons that I just really fell in love with you as a person, I think, is watching how much you give to the community. And you don't make it just about your bottom dollar. It's really about, and it really is about empowering other people. So I think too often we see other practitioners more focused, or I should say less focused on the people that need help. And there's too much focus on some of the unnecessary parts of it. And watching people like you really give back an extraordinary amount of energy to the community. Probably you go above and beyond what I would say most people do. I mean, you really do interact with the community a lot, and you have found a real, I think, solid following. I've watched some of your videos. It's got to feel incredibly good to you to come from this corporate, busy world where your nose is in the grind of everything into this spiritual world where you've been able to heal and empower yourself, and now you're able to give that power back to other people. I think it's an outstanding, incredible journey that you've had.
Well, and I'll tell you, Shelby, don't underestimate anybody that's in the corporate world. Do not underestimate the amount of spiritual people that are actually still hiding in the closet. Because one of the things that I didn't realize, I had people coming out of the woodwork afterwards, after I left. And it's like, well, where were you when I was there? But I'll tell you, one of the funniest stories that I just love to share is in my office, I used to have I had two beautiful paintings. One was of an angel and the other one is a yellow rose with three hiding angels, and they kind of look like the greenery of the rose. Mm-hmm. And I had crystals all over my desk. I mean, seriously, I had so many crystals there. Well, I had this one rose quartz that was about 5 inches tall, and it was just kind of a blob. It always kind of looked to me like almost like a Mother Mary, bending over in prayer, but it was really just more of a blob. And I had another manager in the IT division. She walked into my office one day. She said nothing to me, sat down across my desk, grabbed this rose quartz, held it with her eyes closed for a few minutes, sat back up, opened her eyes, set the rose quartz back down, and said thank you, and left my office.
Wow, she needed that. That's fun though. I'm sure when you left, people were still contacting you. Were they wanting to just know about your journey, or were they wanting to just connect with you spiritually?
it was actually more that people were saying how much they felt a shift in the energy once I left the building.
Oh, wow.
And that I brought so much light to not only the department I was in, but to the actual location. In fact, there was one guy that I always used to joke with him because one of the paintings that I had of an angel, I call him AB for short, angelic being, it was over my door, my office door, and he would come lean in the doorway and talk. And I would say, you do realize you're getting angel stuff on you, right? And he'd look up, you know. And so it was kind of a joke. Well, he and I really bonded well, but he was still pretty macho. I remember the day that it was my last day there, he came and he gave me the biggest hug. I literally thought my ribs were going to break. He was squeezing me so tight. And he said that my energy, my light was going to be missed. I'm like, wow. I was just amazed. Because I didn't necessarily feel that there was such a spiritual connection that was happening kind of behind the scenes with me being there.
Wow. And it really, I mean, gosh, what a beautiful story. I bet that made you feel really good too. I like hearing stuff like that because I think it says a lot about we as human beings and where we are and what kind of energy we're bringing into a situation. And I mean, it makes a big difference. It definitely changes the vibration and the frequency of the area. I know people that I've worked with in the past. There's just sometimes there's just something about people. There's a light in them that it's not their job that getting done that you miss. It's actually the energy that they brought to you.
That's right.
So tell me
something, Shelby. But that's something, Shelby, that people can't underestimate. It doesn't matter what job you are doing. It doesn't matter where you are. It's your energy that you are bringing to the table. It's always there. So why not shine your light wherever you are?
That's true. I think we could all stand to use a little more positive energy in the air these days. At least reading on Facebook. Okay. So tell me a little bit about, now you've been a part of a couple of different books, correct? But you have a new one out that you've written.
Well, actually, so my book, Signs from Your Loved Ones, that's been out since 2013.
So it's not new.
It's not new, no, but the course that actually goes with the memory spirit of your loved one, that is new.
So tell me about them. Sue, why did you write a book? Like what? I know another lady that she's a poet, and she writes some incredible stories and poetry, and she's just filled tons of books up, and I'm like, God, how do people write books, man? So this is a legit book too. This isn't like, a pamphlet.
No, it's actually funny. The signs from your loved one. So of course that's all about different signs, different ways our loved ones have of communicating with us once they're on the other side. And growing up, I wasn't into any of that stuff. And I don't even remember talking about somebody that, went to heaven. That was probably the extent of it. They died, they got buried, they went to heaven, that was it. Well, I started noticing, I've always thought, even when I was a kid, 'cause my mom died when I was 13. That was when she graduated or transitioned. And I remember when I would see my birthday as a time on the clock, I always thought that was her wishing me a happy birthday. No matter what, when in the year it was, it didn't matter. I always kind of felt like it was her wishing me a happy birthday. And I think it just kept evolving because then I would see her birthday on the clock. And it's like, well, that's really cool. That's her birthday. And then I would see, you know, different people, because I have a lot of dead people, a lot of people on the other side. But it dawned on me that, you know, there's ways that they are showing us things that, hey, I'm still here. It's not like I'm dead and gone. It's like I'm still here. I'm just in a different dimension. I'm in a different form. So I have to get your attention in different ways. And so
Right.
I started just thinking about all this. And for me, personally, numbers has always kind of been one of the ways that they come through more so than anything else. Other than there is a story in, I think I put it in the book, about my dad and nickels. He always used to say, don't take any wooden nickels.
Mm.
And so there's a story where all of a sudden a nickel appears on the floor where there's no way that a nickel would have been there. And within, I think it was several hours later, there's a nickel in my shoe. It's like, how does a nickel get in your shoe? So I was pulling these all together, and I was actually going to do a class on it, and that's all it was. It was just like, oh, yeah, I got my notes, I got a few things, and I'm going to do a class on it. Well, that didn't actually work, and I was like, okay, well, now I have all these notes. What am I supposed to do with this? And I thought, oh, if I go through and I pull some of the journal entries that I have from what made these things more real, it will help other people. There's that teaching piece.
Mm-hmm.
That it'll help other people see that, oh, their loved ones are out there. They are trying to get them signs or messages, and here's different ways that they might be coming to them. So that's kind of how it evolved. And I did a lot of talks when I was living up in Prescott, Arizona. I did a lot of talks, and even at different psychic fairs and things. And it was always amazing to me because people would leave the talk with, oh my gosh, I never knew that that was, you know, so-and-so coming through, or I never realized that that's just another way that they're coming through. No wonder I keep seeing that sign all the time, that flower, that number, whatever it is. So that's kind of how that evolved.
I think that's really comforting too to have, because there are so many different ways to communicate with spirit, and I feel like having kind of an arsenal of different ideas is a good idea. So this series now, or I guess I should call them a workshop that goes with the book. Now you're doing several workshops though, right? But you have one that's specifically designed around the book that you've written.
So the one that's out there now, the free one, is called Memories Shared with Your Loved Ones. And it's I would say it's connected to the book in that it's another way for people to connect with their loved ones. And there's a couple of meditations that are so powerful. I mean, I had one woman, honest to gosh, she wrote me a page-long testimonial. And she didn't even make it through the entire course. I think she had only gotten through the first meditation and through the first section. And it was such a beautiful testimonial because she had been struggling with her father, who had passed like 16 years before. And she had never been able to get past this one piece. You know, it was like she would just break down in so much grief. And she said it was like she connected to the loving energy of who he is. And it really helped her forgive and get past where she was. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's beautiful.
That is beautiful. That's good. I think it's love, right? I mean, that's attracted for anything.
Right.
I feel like that's one of the biggest, I think most helpful things that have helped people to kind of pull to be more open-minded, I should say, spiritually. And I'm sure you'll agree that over the last couple of decades, I've heard several people talking about the amount of people that are awakening right now, and this boom of people that are kind of waking up. And you, in your life, you said so kind of at retirement. Technically, it wasn't really retirement, but that's what you sort of called it when you had your reawakening. I think that's really an important expression also, because I have met more people that once they have left the job force or once their children have left home, I have met more people that had awakenings than I have had met, I say people in their 20s or something like that have been awakening. I find that there's people that have been and had a lot of experiences seem to really be, it's like popcorn. Everybody's just kind of a light switch is going on with them. And it's a beautiful thing, the light that's coming in. It's a beautiful thing.
It is. And I think, you see people awaken at times in their life when maybe there was a divorce after they'd been married for 45 years.
Yeah,
or
good point.
maybe there was a transition of their parents, their elderly parent, who they had been taking care of for years. Or they had been at a job. Even there's people that have been at the same job, the same corporate job for, 40 years, and they got laid off. And it's like, now what am I going to do? But the interesting thing that I just absolutely love is that there are so many young people that it's like they never went to sleep like I did.
Yes,
it's
that's
like,
true.
They just are, and I have so much fun. In fact, this Sunday is 11/11, and I'm going to be doing a Facebook Live with a woman, and I don't know how old she is, but I think she's pretty young. I mean, I think she's at least my daughter's. If I had a daughter, probably way younger than that, and her energy is so awesome, and her and I have such a fun connection doing readings together. So we're going to do a
Oh, that'll be fun. And are you okay? You're doing it on Sunday. What time are you doing it?
So it'll be 5 p.m. Eastern, and it's going to be through the International Angels Network Facebook page.
Oh, okay. Well, I want to tell anybody that is that's listening or in the chat room, if you guys want a reading, to go ahead and call in now. I do have a couple of people, so if you want to get in line, please. But Sue, I wanted to talk to you too about your. Let's see. I have to pull it. Okay, so it's sue-broome.teachable.com to get on your Memories Shared with Loved Ones workshop, correct?
Yes, they can go straight there, or if they forget that, they can always go to my website, and because there's a link on there. And if you forget what the name of my business is for Empowerment for You, you can always go to Sue Broome with an E on the end .com. That'll take you to the same place.
Okay, so if anybody wants to connect, also you're doing a show right after this one, correct?
Yeah, I have a Wednesday night show on International Angels Network, and it's called Angel Talk with Sue. So it's always at 9 p.m. Eastern, and I do I'll be Facebook Live tonight doing
cool. That would be
fun.
Yeah. Well, I have another question about before I'm logging these readers in. Can you talk to me a little bit about your connection with angels? Can you tell me? Do you channel them through your cards? Is that how you're doing it? I'm just curious.
Well, okay, a couple things. I definitely work with angels. I love angels, and I do use cards. Typically, if I'm doing readings, sometimes I pull a card and it's like, well, this is what the card is, but this is the information I'm getting. That's totally different. But when I do my blog, in fact, I do a blog every single week, And it has evolved and turned into messages from the angels because it's truly just a channeled message from the angels. And it's where I sit down at my keyboard and say, okay, guys, what are we going to talk about? What do you got for me? And I just wait until they start talking.
So and this just happened to you. One day you just started talking to angels. I love that, Sue.
Well, it's how the channeling started. And I don't remember exactly when, but I remember I was writing something in my journal. And what I wrote was, the human says, blah, blah, something. And I'm like, what? I'm the human. I realized that it's like, okay, wait a minute, that's not me talking anymore. And it was, for a while I worked with a group, they called themselves the 3 light beings of the emissaries. I have no idea. I know, I have no idea where that came. And now I just refer to, it's just the angels. Unless I'm specifically, if I want a message from Archangel Michael, I will say, okay, Archangel Michael, I'd like to work with you. And then I sit down and work with him. So, but
okay,
yeah, that's
got
how,
it.
yeah. And that's what my blogs have evolved into is 99% of the time they're just channeled messages from the angels versus me writing something. And in fact, I have another book that it'll be out in a while because it's still got a little bit of work.
You're writing. You're the busiest person I've ever met. What's your new book going to be about?
That is actually, I'm not sure the title, but it's some of the blogs, the angels will say, we want you to experience this. And it's not that they want us to experience, them so much, though sometimes it might be they want us to experience their love.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting because I will channel it, here's the information, and then either I am going through it as they're telling me, or I reread it and it's like, oh my gosh, that's really cool. So it's going to be just a really little book, a short book, but it's so powerful because it's things that it will help our day. It will help us as we go about our day, either go smoother or feel more centered or feel more love in our life or be able to shine our light brighter. That's
beautiful. I can't wait to read it. I want to buy it now. It sounds so promising. Well, Sue, we won't keep you too long. We do have a couple of people that have called in. If you are ready, I'm going to turn them on. Okay. And then, as always, if you've listened to my show before, then you know that I always let my guest go first. So I'm going to unlock the first caller, 707.
Oh, hi.
Are you there? Hello.
I'm here.
How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. This is Kathleen.
Hi, Kathleen.
Hi.
Hi, Kathleen.
Hi, Sue. How are you?
I'm fabulous.
Good.
How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I have a question, Sue, about the angels, and I'm working with kids in bereavement. Do you get anything around that?
So you have a question about the angels, and you're working with bereavement. Is that what you said?
Yes, with kids.
Oh, with kids.
Yeah.
Oh.
They're very open. I have to be careful how I word things.
Yeah. So, these are all kids that have lost someone in their life?
Yes, a special. They call them special person in their life, whether it be a father, a mother, an aunt.
Mhm. So I'm going to flip over a card. The deck I'm using is Nudges from Your Spirit, but I have my 2 cents that's kicking in.
Okay.
The card I pulled is Release the Past and Be Here Now. And it actually plays really nicely with what's coming to me. Do you have them spend time or be able to feel their special friend, their loved one, when you're working with them?
Sometimes we do it in kind of an imaginary way, but they're really good at it.
And that's really good because, and that's basically what the card is saying, because the releasing the past part feels like if there's, you know, the scary things. So the scary things that went along with it, or like for instance, I had a brother who died when he was 4 years old, and I have another brother who was so angry that we weren't told that he died. You know, that he was sick and that he was going to die. And it's like, okay, letting that piece go, but then really going into the imaginary part, or the being here now with a memory of that person, or creating a new memory. So, because our minds don't know the difference. If we're making it up, or if it's a memory that we're actually having, our brains don't know the difference.
Okay. So having them create a new memory or share a memory? Yes, either one. And have it be, a really happy memory. Something where they enjoyed, and something that is going on that's fun. Okay.
And it actually feels like it's almost melting away if there's something else that is going on that is kind of playing in their minds. It helps melt that away and helps solidify the happier or more joyful memory that's going on.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That was a beautiful message. Kathleen, I'm not sure I have anything really to add. I'm not as familiar with the angels as Sue is, but I do know you as a person, and I know that if there's anybody that can deliver a message of love, it's you. So I'm so happy you called tonight, Kathleen. It was good to hear your voice.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Kathleen. And that's beautiful. And thank you for working with kids with this, because I think that's really important.
Absolutely.
Because if there would have been someone like you when my brother was young, he might not still be angry.
Yeah, that's our goal. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Kathleen. Bye.
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 That takes an incredible person to work around grief all day like that. So Kathleen she's a beautiful, beautiful soul. Okay, I'm going to unlock 630. Hello?
Oh, hey.
Amy!
Amy. I'm sorry, I had you on mute and speaker and everything, so I had to, grab the phone. I wasn't expecting it so quick. Anyway, good to hear your voice, and your guest as well.
It's good to hear your voice, Amy. How are you doing? Uh-oh, something happened.
Oh, she popped off?
Hold on.
Me?
There you go. I think you somehow muted again. Okay. I said, how are you doing? And then you disappeared.
I heard a beep anyway. So I'm doing okay. I have a really lot on my plate, but I'm just sucking it up and doing what needs to be done. So I guess I just want to reading about my current situation. I'm kind of that's what I'm going to do my show about on Sunday is I pay for my mother's assisted living, and it keeps going up. So I was like, even though I make a really good income, I was destitute. So I became an Uber driver, and now I Uber drive, and it's just it's fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating, to have these strangers. The coolest thing, though, is when, there's these things, if you're familiar, there's a thing that you can take that's cheaper called Uber Pool, which is like two strangers going basically in the same direction. And those are
never heard of that.
Well, anyway, two people who have never met, have nothing in common except that they're going in the same direction, get in your car. And the matchups are just fascinating. I was just like, everybody should have to like spend time in a car with a stranger that is nothing like them.
Yeah, it's good for you.
That's very cool, Amy.
But anyway, so getting back to the reading part of it, I think I just was sort of like a reading about my just my overall current situation, because I'm really stressed out, but I should be stressed out. I mean, like, I'm dealing with some really grown up, it's not like imaginary problems, like my boyfriend's not calling. I mean, this is real shit. So, I feel like it'll be over soon, but it's overwhelming. Anyway, the end.
Well, so Amy, while I'm figuring out, feeling into the cards, which card wants to come out and play, I would like you to breathe and just pay attention to your breath and just notice your breath without trying to change
Funny,
it.
once you say that, it's almost impossible to do. And usually the only time I notice my breath is when I'm smoking cigarettes. That's like sometimes that's the only way I can breathe. So it's interesting that you picked up on that, because I stop breathing many times a day.
Yeah, I can.
And now I can't. And now that you're telling me, I can't. Now that you're telling me, I really cannot. I'm like, put your nose out through your mouth, and I can't do it. Like, I'm just frozen.
You know, it's funny because, and I'll tell you, if I pull the breath card out of this deck, then it's like, well, you just can't make this stuff up. But
right.
The angels, they talk about breathing so often because we as humans, we do that. When we get stressed, we hold our breath. If there's a fear situation, we hold our breath. If there's a lot of things going on in our life, I mean, I know I find myself when I get really focused on something and I get up, it's like, okay, I need to get up and go fill my water glass. I realize that I've been taking very shallow breaths.
Mm-hmm.
So it really is a conscious, it doesn't matter how much we remind ourselves. It really is something that we do have to remind ourselves.
It's interesting that you bring that up, because I have a lot of dead people too. And when I was grieving, I noticed that the only way I noticed that grief, like some days, like the grief, like felt like my lungs were full of cement. And that, through that whole process, I realized that grieving, a big part of grieving, we think it occurs in our head, but it occurs in our lungs. And I started doing yoga, and that was so helpful. And because of the focused breathing, and when you said to breathe, I was like, I'm just going to hang up the phone because I don't want to breathe right now. And then I tried to, and I couldn't. I was like, really breathe, like this. No, I'm not breathing, No. And then when I tried to, I couldn't. Like a little tiny breath, like there was a pinhole in my I had a pinhole for a larynx or whatever you breathe through. Anyway.
Oh, that's funny.
So
okay.
So Amy,
breathing.
I love that, Amy. It's so funny.
This is ridiculous.
But so the card I pulled, though, it says realign your thoughts to match your desire. And it's the thing that is so important with this is really what we think about, what we say are the seeds that we're planting today for our tomorrow. And think about the words that you're saying. I have a lot of things going on right now. Well, that in and of itself starts to feel heavy. No wonder you can't breathe because you got all this stuff on your shoulders pushing you down. So it feels heavy, and where I have a lot of, I'm going in a lot of different directions. That just feels crazy. So think about as you're talking, as you're using your words, think about what you're saying, and is that what you want your tomorrow to be? And breathe.
And right. Do them both at the same time. It's not funny, but it is. It really,
yeah. So, Miss Shelby, what do you have? What do you got?
Well, first, I want to say, Amy, I'm so happy that you called. Every time I talk to you, I don't even buy tickets to the comedy show anymore. I just listen to your archive shows that you're on. You're on Curious Times. You always crack me up. So I'm so glad you came tonight. Thank you. I miss seeing you.
I know. I miss everybody. Your show was usually during work, but I'm still at work. Anyway, it's great to hear. And this was really, really helpful because this breathing thing is so funny because, like, especially like when my mother calls and or I call my mother and she just like puts more stuff on me, instead of saying, "Oh, I had a wonderful day today." It's like, and I can't breathe, and I almost get to a point where I'm hyperventilating, and I have to hang up the phone. So, this like just breathe thing, just breathe is sort of like a kind of new age woo-woo, pan of like chicken soup for the new age people. But it is so on point because, like, my mother calls and I will like shut down and I start hyperventilating and I get a little dizzy.
Are you
usually in my car?
Are you thinking about moving her, Amy? Are you thinking about
her? Oh, well,
yes.
I don't know what happened, but I had some other really large expenses. But she was almost to the point of getting evicted. But that was when I started Ubering. So now I get up every morning at 4 and drive the Uber.
I just feel like there's some choice regarding her situation where she is. I feel like there's a lot of choices that are coming in. Or I see you looking at options is what I see you doing. I see you like looking at different things. Ultimately, I do see the expense of it is, I can see it's a burden, and I don't see that it becomes less of a burden.
It's $3,300 a month. I mean, some people don't even.
Yeah, that's I think healthcare for our elderly needs to be. Don't even get me started on that. I'm trying to not have emotions.
Well,
the sad
thing is, she really needs to die. But her and I.
Oh, Amy.
I'm not kidding. She needs to freaking die, but she's got the longest lifeline. I swear, it wraps around her arm and goes halfway down her back.
Well, I think there's a new opportunity with it coming, though. I really do feel like there's going to be something changing, and I don't know if it's actually going to be her leaving that facility, or something changes in the facility in regards to, it is associated with money. I don't see the burden becoming less, but I do see it changing. So something happens with the financial aspect.
I know what happens. I know exactly what happens. I know what happens. It's funny that you mentioned that because it's tax deductible.
What's the woman? This is I don't know if this is somebody you're dealing with at the facility. I see the throat chakra lighting up, so I know it has something to do. You're communicating with this woman about something in regards to your mother is what I'm seeing. And then I'm seeing you look at. I feel you get really frustrated, or more so than you feel right now. There's it's almost like you're looking in a panic almost for some other option.
That's what I get with me and my mother. The woman at the facility is nice as pie.
But I feel like I think be helping that woman at the facility is going to kind of be helping with whatever decision. There's a change that's happening with your mother, though, and it has something to do with the facility. So again, I don't know if she's leaving the facility or if there's like a something changes. I can see a big gold coin though, so I know it's tied to finances. But when I lean into it to see if it goes up or down to try to, I can't feel if the burden stays the same of financial. It looks big, but it doesn't feel like it's something that's,
Oh yeah, that's exactly what it is, because I mean, I was telling someone that my life costs $1,000 a day, and if you do the math on that, that sounds like a ridiculous amount of money, and then I must be like, driving around, whatever. But it's like, so that's the part. That's why the gold coin is so big, and and I just keep This has been a theme all through my life, that money. I never work. A whole bunch of times come up, and I have financial shortfalls or whatever, but I never cannot get I'm a manifesting mobo.
yeah.
It's just a lot of work.
I think I'm willing to say that I think by the start of next fall that things change significantly in your financial situation. Significantly.
Yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds about right.
With November also, you got to get through November. What's that all about? Do you know what I'm talking about?
What about November?
I keep hearing you need to just get through November is what I'm hearing.
Oh yeah, because all of my dead people, except for Keith, die in November. My brother died on November 1st. He died on, whatever Day of the Dead. I can't say it. The way you really say it. Then my father died November 28th, and my grandmother died like November 29th or something like that. Yeah. People drop like flies
what a month for you.
In November. And November died in January, so it's all going into, this is my dead people season.
Okay. Well, the last thing I'll tell you before I take this last call, when I said it dropped significantly, the feeling of financial burden dropped significantly. It felt early fall is what I really want to tell you. September is what I want to tell you. But there's something it's a big shift, a big financial shift. So I'm
just leave it at that. Just leave it at that.
Okay. I feel like there's just less going out. I'll say that. You still have.
I get it. I mean, and that can play out several different ways. It doesn't necessarily mean because again, you need to see my mother's lifeline to realize.
Oh no! I'm not suggesting. I'm not suggesting that it's going to be necessarily anything to do as a result of her. I'm just saying financially,
there are other things. There are other. Whatever. Anyway, this is getting into too much gritty detail, but both of you were immensely helpful, and the breathing part. And it's good to hear you, and thank you so much.
Amy, I always enjoy having you around. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
So that's the Amy that I was talking about earlier. She will be on Curious Times on the I think she already said it. I just have to flip my page back. I think it's the 11th. 11th. Okay, last caller. 636. Can you hear
me? Hi, Shelby.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fine. I got my phone rigged up and I decided to call in.
I'm so glad you did. Mary was in the chat room, was wanting a reading, so she called in, Sue. Okay, Mary, what's up?
Oh, Mary. Okay, thank you.
Well, you tell me. Something good, I hope.
Let me turn on my eye. Go ahead, Sue.
So I pulled a card and it says, your bank account does not define you. And what But what it feels like to me, Mary, what this card is saying to you and what it's really meaning is that you underestimate you. You compare yourself to other people. You feel like you are not doing what they're doing, or you're not sharing what they're sharing, or something like that, something along those lines where there's a comparison going on, when all you really need to do is look within and see the divine spark that you are, see the inner light that you have. And it's like, well, wait a minute, I do have a lot to share. And realize that, and ask the angels to help you expand that and give you confidence, or help with your confidence. Because I feel like you do have a little bit of confidence, but you could actually stand to use a little bit more of Archangel Michael kind of, standing behind you and saying, and almost like saying, Mary, stand up straight kind of thing. But so don't underestimate who you are and what you have to share, because you have a lot of wisdom that you aren't giving yourself credit for. Your friends, if you ask your friends, they will tell you, but you're not seeing it within yourself. Does that make sense?
Mhm. Yeah, a lot. Yeah, I try to talk to my angels, and ask for their help. But especially when my daughter's going out of town, I'm a little more. I talk to them more, and it was kind of strange yesterday because I got up and took her to the airport at like 4:00 in the morning, and on the way home, I pulled in McDonald's to get a sandwich, and when I went to pull out, it wasn't dark anymore, and there's hardly any traffic that time of morning. And as the light turned green, and I just sat there for a second, and I don't even know why. Because normally when the light turns green, you take off. And I happened to look to my left, and if I would have pulled out, this guy was going, if he was going 20 miles an hour, he was doing 60. And I mean, it was deep.
Wow.
So, and I had just said that morning before I took my daughter, my angels, watch over us and my daughter and our family and my friends, and keep us safe. And then voila.
Perfect. You were listening, and sometimes it's like you don't realize that you're listening, and in times like that, it's like, well, thank you for listening. Thank you, Mary, for listening. and because you really did. You just didn't realize that you were.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to talk to my guide, and I'm not having any luck. And it's probably my fault because I'm not as, consistent. But I keep trying to find out who he is, or who she, he, or whoever is. And a few years ago, I saw a face, and when I was doing meditating, and I know that was my guide, and somebody had said that his name was Edmund, and he was with me for a while in my life. I guess that's where I'm starting to see and hear things, and I think that was what he was there for, supposedly, as the way I got it.
Well, and we as humans put more stock into the name, what they want to, what we want to call them, where angels and guides, typically they don't necessarily care about what name we call them. It's more about the vibration. So when you're calling on and trying to figure out who your guide is, pay close attention to how you feel and what maybe is going on within your body. Do you feel a warmth? Do you feel a tingling? Do you feel a coolness? Do you feel, whatever it might be? Pay attention to what's going on in your body to see if you can connect with the vibration of who they are versus, I want to go by Charlie,
Okay. Okay. That sounds good.
And I'll kind of reiterate a little bit about what Sue was saying too, because I do think you have some strong divine presence around you, and I do think that it's important to try to communicate with not just our loved ones on the other side, but our own soul or guides or whatever you want to communicate with. But and I agree that names aren't as important. But Mary, the first thing I noticed about you was your big giant third eye. As soon as I heard your voice, I saw it. So I know it's pretty active, and even if you can't see, hear, feel, or know what's going on, or communication is happening with the others on the other side, it is happening, and I think it's just trying to find its best way to you. Definitely don't give up on trying. I also want to say to be aware of some physical sensations that you're having. So instead of trying to pick up a name, or instead of trying to pick up even visually, like if you can just forget, when you're talking about communication from the other side, you have got to forget about everything you know about communication, talking to another human being, because it's not going to be the same. It's not going to be, you are not going to have a sit-down pig roast over, at the local bar. It's not like that. It's going to come in much more subtle ways. And I think with you, some of the communication that's happening is you're very natural with it, and I don't think that you're aware that you are communicating when you are communicating. So like you told the story about sitting at the light when you could have gone forward. You are hearing and you are listening and you are responding when we'll call it the presence of angels, or we'll just say the divine presence is around you. You are listening, but your communication, how you think communication is, it's just not going to be that way. So the physical sensations that I'm talking about when you're laying in bed at night and you're going to sleep and you're kind of clearing away your day, Mary, if you can ask that presence to come to you, your soul, your angels, whatever you're working with, Mary, ask it to come to you, and don't try to get a thought or a feeling. Don't try to get anything. Just lay there. Just be there. You may notice you feel pressure on one of your legs, or you may get a slight sensation where it feels like something brushed your hair. Just sit with those. Do that. You don't have to be consistent and do it every day at 7 p.m. on the dot. Be consistent by doing it even throughout the day when you're starting to do dishes, or you're folding laundry, or you're doing any repetitive, monotonous task. That's going to be when you are going to be able to pick up spirit probably quicker than you realize. I think you're having deep conversations with spirit. I just don't think that you understand that you are.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's funny that you say about the leg, because there's times when I'm standing doing dishes and it feels like one of my dogs is brushed against my leg, and then I look down and there's nothing there.
Well, see, and that is exactly what I'm talking about, especially if it happens the same place all the time. And sometimes, Mary, you're going to think it's one thing, and come 2 years later, you're going to be like, oh, that's what it is. So you also have to really try to have an open mind and of what is coming to me, and is it possible that that the way that I'm going to view this, or the way that I believe what's happening, is going to shift? Because it probably will. I think early on, a lot of people get confused when when they have a loved one close to them versus a spirit guide that's close to them, or versus an angel that's close to you. How do you get past all of that to understand the different vibrations and the frequency? Well, the only way is to you've got to set your boundaries first and say, this is what I want to communicate with, until you're comfortable with that. And I always tell people, if you want to communicate with anything, before you start reaching out for guides and master teachers, learn to sit in your own energy. Learn what Mary feels like. What does Mary's soul energy feel like? And tell your soul to send you sensations and send you feelings and send you thoughts and understanding, and build that communication, because your soul is your ultimate guide. And once you have a connection to say, this is what energy Mary feels, when something else comes into your energetic field, whether it's an angel or it's a crossover loved one or whoever, you're going to know, because you're going to know your energy, and you're going to be able to discern you from anyone else. Because you're also pretty empathetic, aren't you? Are you an empath, Mary?
I didn't think so, but then when I got the reading from you, then I started wondering,
Oh, okay. That's right. We have talked about that. Well, it's just something to think about. I think that your receptors are wide open. I can feel your energy. It's always like it reminds me of fingers. I can feel it brushing into my energy. That's why I asked you if you were an empath. So, that's another thing. You're going to bed with all these other people's energy in your energetic field. It's hard to feel who's around you. You've got to take care of your daughter and your husband, and then there's this person and that person, and the phone's been ringing all day, and you've been trying to help with all this stuff. So you've got to clear all that crap out of your energetic field so that you can really sit with your energy. Because you're a beautiful energy, Mary. You have great energy.
Oh, thank you.
Something you can do, Mary, is set up, ask the angels to set up a filter, like at your property line as you're driving in your car and also at your door. And what I mean by that is, so when you're driving into your driveway at night or when you're walking in your home at night, the filter will clear out anything that's not yours, and it'll stay outside. It'll stay outside. So then you're not bringing everybody else's stuff into your home.
Fantastic idea. Fantastic idea.
That's really cool. Thank you.
Mary, thank you for calling. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, thank you. It's nice meeting you, and it's good to hear people back on here. I really miss it since Chris hasn't been doing many shows.
Yeah, it's been missed a lot. She gets missed a lot. Every time her show doesn't happen, I always get disappointed because I always listen in archives. So I'm so glad you called in, Mary. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yep. Bye.
Okay, so we are going to go ahead and start to wrap it up. Sue does have someplace else to be. She's got another show she's doing at 9 o'clock. So check it out. And where can they find you for this show?
They can go to International Angels Network, and either they can go to Facebook, the Facebook page for International Angels Network, or they can go to internationalangelsnetwork.com or blogtalkradio.com/International Angels Network.
Awesome. So you guys definitely check Sue out. And if you want to connect with her over Facebook, you can do that at Empowerment, the number 4, and then you, Empowerment for You. You can find her on Twitter at E4YNow or on Instagram at SueBroome44. She's posting on Instagram. She's posting a daily card. She does weekly card pulls on Facebook. Check her book out, please. The whole thing, the workshops, it's free, guys. I mean, this is really great information. It's valuable. It's tools that can help you move through a lot of your own pain and help to start heal yourself. So connect with Sue. Check out some of the things that she's offering for free. And even if you want to schedule an appointment with her, you can do that also on her website. So thank you, Sue. I appreciate it. I hope I didn't yell in your ear too bad the whole time. I have to get a new microphone, I guess.
No, but thank you so much for having me on, Shelby.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and you were talking about how we met on Instagram, and who knows? I honestly, I just look at the angels kind of moving chess pieces. Okay, these two people are supposed to meet. Okay, these two people are supposed to meet. So I'm sure that's what they were doing.
That's exactly right. I don't even question it anymore. I just say it happens for a reason. But thank you all for joining, and anybody that didn't get to listen live, if you're listening out there on iHeartRadio or Blog Talk Radio or anywhere else that you're catching this on, I thank you and appreciate you for listening to the show. We will be back next Wednesday. We're going to do a Meditation 101, so this will be a good show if you're just learning to meditate, or if you've been meditating for a while and you just kind of want to have an hour where we discuss meditation and relax for a little bit. I'm going to be giving away some free full 1-hour mediumship readings also on that show. So the holidays are coming, so I like to do that around the holidays because that's kind of my way of giving back too. So I appreciate all of you for tuning in, and we will see you next week. Thank you.